There we go.
Okay, good. Well, welcome. We call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Can I get a motion? I'm sorry, 4 o'clock. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for today?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any changes? The only thing I can tell you is I have on the agenda that our assessor, Jeff Lowe, is going to be coming in, but he can't get here till 4:30. So we need to, so we'll push him back to whenever he gets here. He's coming from a different town and it's going to take a little time to get here. Okay. So with that being said, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is the approval of several workshops in last month's town board meeting. So we had the budget workshops on the 13th, the 24th, and the 24th and 25th, and then November 1st, and the meeting was the 13th. So all those motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Any discussion on any of the ones that were sent out? There was one change, a clerical thing. I took care of it. It's already taken care of.
Yeah, the
So
date. Mhm.
yeah, there was a date that was on one of the minutes and I fixed it and Tony fixed it. And so not a problem. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First thing on the agenda is public participation. Anybody like to speak?
I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
You want to go first?
no, he's
It's on the agenda. All right. February 10th, I came up here and I talked to you guys about two things. The dead trees next to my hot property and about them potentially coming down and about this back pipe. You guys looked into it. You told me, you called me and told me
Could
Too
you
busy.
just, your name and your address for me, please, just so.
Patrick McQueenie, 22 Green Lanes Turn. And you told me they're too busy to look at it at this time. And Bob Bruno told you it was a shit job done. He told those are his exact words. So I waited, I was patient. June 22nd, we don't hear anything. It's summer now. I talked to you about the pipe again. And called you let me start from the beginning. To talk to you Ed about the pipe and he called it, I talked to Bob and he said he went to you and he already told you it was already taken care of. That was a lie. He never even came up and talked to us in the beginning about it. So that was June 22nd. June 28th, 10 a.m. I talked to the town, talked to Tammy and said, you were in a meeting and you texted me back and said, I called Bob, he's gonna get a hold of you. Never called me again. July 5th. Stopped at the water department and talked to Jason. Bob not there, talked to Jason about the pipe. He told me to stop after work when you can to try to catch Bob. July 7th, stopped at the town garage to talk to Jason again, told me Bob wasn't there. I actually chased him down in his backhoe, so I could actually talk to him face to face, because I'm tired of this BS, not calling me back. Then he tried to we got with Rick Alvato, and he says that you guys were responsible for it. But the easement said, if water goes in or out, it potentially, we won't do anything about it. So again, when I talked to Bob that day, when I chased him down in his backhoe, he goes, we're too busy. I got Vitaly doing driveways or doing roads. I can't get to it to another 2-3 months. I said, that's unacceptable. I said, I came up here in February and he starts complaining about his employees. I said, then fire them all. Get somebody who wants to work. So he told me to call you. I did. On July 18th, I went to the town, talked to you, Ed, and Bob said he would have to come up and take a look at the pipe. July 25th, I went to the town to talk to you again, Ed. He said, just waiting for Bob. He told me there potentially might be a gas pipe back there. You looked in the blueprints, there's no gas pipe back there. We both knew there was no gas pipe back there, or they would have never put a pipe back there to push water. So again, had to wait for Bob again. July 26th, Bob and Jason came up and did look at it. And what they wanted to do was they were gonna clear the ditch out on Town of Owasco side. And they were gonna clean it out with their machine, which is still not done. They're gonna do it the end of July, August. It's now November, that's right, it's November 11th. So. Still not done, machine's sitting there, been sitting there for 5 weeks. So that was the step they were supposed to do, clean that out and shoot it with a laser. Hasn't been done. Went to, let's see, September 8th, went to the garage to talk to Bob, not there again as normal. Talked to a coworker, told Bob that I stopped by about the backyard. Bob still doesn't call me back. September 13th, I went to see Bob at the garage again. Coworker told him that he called, the coworker actually called him and said, hey, Pat McQueen is here, he wants to talk to you because I ain't got time to talk to him. You see where I'm getting with this? I'm getting pissed off with this. Later, when I was leaving that same day, I talked to Jason. Jason said they had the machine all hooked up to go clear that ditch out. Still to this day, it's not done. September 28th, called Bob and asked, what's going on with this backyard? I said, same bullshit you're giving me. You're giving me all these excuses that you can't get there, can't blah, blah, blah. He said, well, we just got the machine all ready to go. I said, that's funny. September 13th, Jason told me the machine was already ready to go to clean that ditch out. Then I get a letter. Bob sends me a text saying, we put green dye in the back pipe and Ed will send you a letter. Okay. I know water goes through the pipe. The pipe is a shit job. He already told you that. You knew that. So what I'm frustrated is, see how many dates I gave you people? How long I started this in February and I just got an answer last week and it does nothing for me. So.
What was the answer last week?
That the dye in the water, it's good enough. We're not doing anything with it. The letter's right here. The letter with the pictures. So you can see I'm frustrated with Bob Bruno. I don't know what he's telling you people, but I think he's full of shit. He snows you people. He doesn't want to get back to you. So I don't, you know what? Maybe when it's time to run, maybe I'll run against him. Maybe I'll get something done for this town.
You said you had pictures?
The pictures that they took.
Could I see?
What happened, Rick wrote the letter, I just sent it, and they took the pictures. The thing is, we looked at the easement says we're responsible for the flow of the water through the backyard, which was, the pipe was installed by the highway department back in when Mike Wilson was here. And the neighbors up there all pitched in and paid for the pipe, put the pipe in at their request. They put the pipe in and they buried it. The problem that was there is an elevation issue from somewhere that, I don't know how far back it goes, but Mr. McQueen's property is the one next to the town property, the right of way, which is forever green. It's supposed to be like a catch basin, swampy area for the drainage. And so when we got frustration from a resident, I told Bob you had to do it ASAP. This was like a month ago. So when they did the first part of October, they put the guy in, they shot the laser. They wanted to make sure, according to Rick, they wanted to make sure that the water easement worked the way it was designed to work. So when they put the dye in and the water flowed through the pipe, went to the other end, and it continued through. So the pipe behind the house does exactly what it was designed to do. Therefore, they're functionally, there's nothing wrong with the back of the pipe. You know, it's working the way it's supposed to do. I guess the question that you have is the drainage in your yard is not getting to that.
Then the pipe looks like crap. You can see it's not picture. I actually had somebody come up and run a laser. It took him 10 minutes to do it. And he says, yeah, that pipe's it's not right. Okay, water will go through it. It'll push you if you push something hard enough, it'll go through it. But Why do I have to look at a pipe that's sitting on top of my surface of my lawn? Shouldn't have, I don't think. Shouldn't it be in the ground?
Well, if it goes too far in the ground, from what I've been told, that the elevations from the pond, if you go too low, the water won't flow. The pond will drain into your yard if you go too low in your yard. So there's potential, if you go lower, that the water won't go up the hill, it'll just flow backwards. So that's what they were afraid of. It would drain into your yard more than instead of draining out of your yard if they go lower. That's the reason, why it was done the way it was done, from what I've been told. I'm not, an engineer who designed it.
So
So,
Bob's not an engineer either. You can see I'm frustrated more with him, not you guys, but I'm more frustrated with him.
So we have to be careful not to discuss any kind of personnel issue in a public forum. The only thing that I'll say is just like, just like us, we're here at the will of the people of the town of Owasco, and that's, if somebody's not working up to your expectations, that's, a remedy that's available to you, but that's not a great answer for you right now. I understand that, but we have some limitations on what we can speak about publicly.
Are you on the outlet side of the pipe? Is that what you're saying? Or do you have the whole pipe on your property?
There's a whole pipe on
The
my
whole property.
and then it opens up into the town of Owasco's property.
I can pull up, if you get internet, I can pull up a, picture and send you,
I thought that wasn't,
So,
didn't Rick pull up the site
What would be
plans?
the remedy? I'm
Yeah,
just
that's-
asking you.
That's what I'm interested.
Well, the remedy, I would like, Bob, when he came up and I asked him, he goes, well, what do you want out of this? I said, well, I want the pipe to at least be put in right. I know water flows through it, or take the pipe out, and leave it in open ditch. That's what I told him.
And
I'd rather have an open ditch than looking at a pipe like that.
is all the pipe on your property?
Yeah, I mean, for how much this hassle I've gone through all summer and since
How
February.
much will it take to remove the pipe?
that's all you gotta do is the one, it's EY.
And Ed, why didn't he go up there and do what he said he was gonna do with your part and clean that ditch out? And run the lake, that was his big thing, and he was gonna do it at the end of July.
Well,
August.
he did a laser on on your pipe. So he knows the pitch on your pipe. And so what had been done, go to, yeah, there you go. Okay. So we dock your retainer for
Yes.
15 minutes.
So it'll be negative then.
Okay, here's the pipe, the pipe used to come up from back here, all the way, it used to be an open ditch. Your property is
It's a
right.
field drainage
right
ditch.
here. It's a ditch behind this house, right through here. And it used to be open. They didn't want it open. The neighbors all paid to put the pipe in, and Mike Wilson put it in. So the problem is, once it gets past here, it goes, the pipe actually ends right about here. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, and you can see where it's open, and this goes into the pipe, the field behind Emerson Park, which is over here, those two ponds,
Yeah,
it's a two-bay pond behind Emerson Park. So probably the only solution would be to cut the pipe and leave it open ditch, because if you go lower, if you bury the pipe, the problem is this water may drain into your yard from here, because it's gonna be lower, from what I've been told, lower than this area over here. So everything could drain into your yard, because if it's lower, so if it's where it's at, it drains into here, and it's designed to go into the pond. So that's the only solution would be to do that.
But if we cut it here, doesn't this homeowner have the same?
No,
No,
I don't know. Is this buried? Is it above ground?
Tom's is buried.
This is buried.
Yeah.
It's because of the elevation. The only thing we could do is put more dirt on the top, but the problem is that the water from your backyard won't drain into it.
Well, you're gonna
So-
create another problem.
You're gonna create other,
Yeah.
you're gonna basically block water from even trying to get off. So that's gonna be the problem. So the problem is, we don't want this area to drain into this. So, and that's why we did the test. We put the dye in up in here, and it drained all the way through. He took pictures of a couple manholes. I'm not sure where the manholes are. this is just from what I've been told. Rick is involved with this because he drafted, the reply based on the results that we got from the test.
How much harder is the pipe than the invert on the ditch?
I don't know that without talking to Bob.
No, I mean, by looking at it, I
By
mean,
looking, how much pipe's out above ground? Like, how much pipe can you see?
I don't, is that on the
Just probably
pictures?
about that much.
So the top crown of that?
Yeah,
that's only on the ends though, right?
no, on the, going across your whole.
All the
backyard.
whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I
So-
think the pitch is very low because of the slope of the land.
Those are the deep ditch.
Like
Yeah.
Ed says, if we put dirt on top, it's gonna prevent
Yeah,
your
I need water going
groundwater.
into it.
Yeah,
You need runoff water to go in. That was another thing they
Is
never
that
did.
perforated?
They never, it is perforated, but it's probably all just full of grit and everything.
Yeah.
And why didn't they put in, when they did this,
Yeah.
why didn't they put an open sewer drainage, like, so water could go in it? They put one on Tom Donovan's side, but they also put it up this high. Water don't run uphill, water runs down. Again, Tom should have never paid for it. He should have never paid for the side that he paid for on mine now.
What's that, about a 10-inch pipe?
It's a 12.
So,
yeah. See, this lot, the historical thing was, this was Tom's house right here, right?
Yes,
So Tom owned both these houses.
Yeah.
Tom just subdivided this lot up and he sold the lot off to him. So when Tom paid for this, he paid from here over to here, and these people paid from here. I don't know how far up it goes, but it goes like 2 or 3 houses. The only body who didn't pay was the one guy that bikes a lot. I can't remember his name right now, Kevin Burton. They didn't pay for it. Everybody, I think up to Burton's house is where it ended. So he didn't want it. So everybody else wanted it. And this was a doctor's house before. I can't remember who it was before that, before it was Moran. But that's the situation. So the only thing I can, from what I've been told, the only solution that we can do, we can cut the pipe, take the pipe out and just have an open ditch. That's gonna
You
be.
know, if you laid it back, it probably behoove you to do that. Just lay it back. And that way you can cut the ditch and everything might even look better. I know none of us like ditches in our backyard, but it's at the end of it's right at the end of your property. It's not
There's-
cutting your property in
no,
half.
there's a little more property past that ditch.
And you use
That
it.
goes into the woods where I just cut grass.
Yeah.
But you're the expert.
No, I'm saying, I'm
I know, that's
agreeing, but if you opened it up a little bit, maybe it'll be like a swell, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, that was something you can maybe do. I'm not gonna tell Bob how to do his job.
You could suggest.
maybe somebody, I'm, like I said, I'm only venting about him. It's just, I don't
Normally he's
like,
on
I
top
just
of
don't like how he
everything.
doesn't get back to you about anything. It's just BS. If
That's
you could
surprising.
tell me he wants to come talk to me one-on-one, I'll tell him the exact same thing how I feel about him.
It surprises me. Usually he gets right on it.
But
Usually he's here too.
Liz, so that's all private property then.
This is all private property. We own this.
Where's our property?
Our property starts right here and all this is our property.
Yeah,
This is
that easement was a subdivision approved
green space, yeah.
that was proposed obviously by the Dickman's engineer, approved by the town engineer on assigned for that subdivision at the
This was
time.
required by the
Yeah.
health, by the DEC to have green space and drainage forever. This is, nobody can ever develop this. This has to
But
stay.
I'm talking about the
Yeah.
the drainage easement in the
So when
backyard.
they planned that development, they planned it with that ditch there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there's an easement. I don't know, I can't say if this said open ditch or something, but there is
Yeah, it
a.
says open ditch because.
I have to look at the original filed subdivision map, that was before my time, but there is a drainage easement that the town has for all of that, and as the supervisor indicated some time ago, the property owners came and said if we do the, and then however it was approved, and then they put in we installed it, but the supplies were paid for by the property owners as.
The same practice we do now for the ditches in front of people's houses. They pay for the material and if we have time, we'll put it in, but we haven't done one in a year and a half.
Is that real wet back there?
Yeah. I would
It can
imagine,
be.
Yeah.
So you can't get a machine in there?
no, you could get a machine in there somehow.
So, and then one thing they did do, that they did last summer, they did clean up because what happened was there's a storm drain that comes all the way up through here and comes across right here, right across from Jane Fox's. And then and what happened was this was all plugged up and was backing up out of the manholes. And so what Bob had to do was, there was a bunch of debris in this drain that comes, I don't know if you could, that's a town road, access road, so it's right about here. So what happened was there was a thing, so they had to clean it out right through here. We started cleaning this out with a backhoe last year. Jane Fox called, complained that we were cutting down the trees. They didn't want to see green shutters. You know, that's a true comment, true comment. I don't blame them, you know. But,
That's what I get for getting coming late.
Yeah.
I knew it when it was. I
so
knew it.
they last summer, not this summer, but you know, that's not, he didn't clean this area out, which I think is that what the area he was supposed to clean
Yeah,
out?
they have not cleaned
They
that
have
out at
not
all.
cleaned this area out, but he did clean out a path, right? Because what happened was there was a bunch of grass and
Sediment.
but it just plugged up the culvert that came under the road. And what happened was all of the water from that backed up, it filled the pipe up. And these people up here, water was coming out of the manholes, on the DIs on the road, because it was just backed up. And so, and then we did drainage behind these houses over here. We had to clean that out because we had
And
neighbors.
the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, the cul-de-sacs, because that was backing up and getting in people's houses too. So they had problems back here, they had problems in here. And, you know, and Patrick's having problems, you know. The problem is the pipe is ugly to look at and it's not aesthetically pleasing. So do you want the pipe cut out? That's the question.
If they can do it and
I'm sure they can- I'm sure they can do it.
Water drains, right.
Well,
Can-
basically just gonna cut the pipe out and clean up, just clean it up a little bit, but I don't think he can change the depth of the water, of the thing, because we don't want this to come back inwards. If that's what you want, I'm sure I can get him to do that.
Is there a way for him to get in there? Looks like some rough terrain in there.
Yeah, he can get back there.
No problem, without,
Yeah, he can go.
without
right down the side-
disturbing
he can go
anything
right down the
else.
Side of the yard here. Go
Or
right
he could
in.
get there.
Probably
Mr.
won't.
Vitale, do you want to walk it sometime before a decision's made?
No, I don't want to overstep my bounds. I would definitely, I was thinking about it, but
Yeah, I mean, you have the.
I'd like to talk to Bob about
You
it.
can ask Bob to go up there with, volunteer to go up there with him, you know, with your
I'll call him
expertise.
tomorrow
You know, Mr.
or
Vitale?
tonight.
Yeah, I think we've.
Yeah, he's got a lot of years of
Um,
experience.
yeah.
with-
You know,
I just wanna-
Mr. Vitale,
if you
if
take-
we
if
have
you
to
take-
engage, if we have to get the town engineer or something, you know, then we should do that, because again, we don't want to, whatever we're doing can affect the approved, you know, drainage easement that goes along those backyards as
Yeah.
indicated.
So to keep the elevation the same, you know, the bottom of the pipe, the same level, I think he'll be okay.
Patty, you okay if he walks around?
I can go on there any day. I don't care.
You just had to call the police on this one guy.
No, but I mean, if there's gonna be a problem where they say we take the pipe out, now we're gonna have a problem with this ditch. I need a ditch so it can push water, because I'm pushing everybody's water from behind all
Yeah,
those houses down.
It's
Yeah.
the ditch will, I mean, the ditch will have to be at the same elevation, so it's just gonna be an open ditch. You'll be able to see water flowing through instead of being covered with a thing, you know, that's the whole dilemma is elevation. That's the, you definitely don't want this water draining into your property. That's for sure. So you don't
But
want.
Bob is definitely gonna have to clean that other on your
Oh,
side.
yeah, absolutely.
Because if that backs up, we're all gonna get screwed back there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's all gonna kick back, and I mean, that doesn't look like it's been cleaned in years.
No, I can tell you, because I personally went out there when she called, when I went out there, I saw what they were doing here. It was, I'm surprised water even flowed through there. It was just so much grass and cottontails and, you know, wetlands. It was, yeah, and the
I mean,
trees, half the trees are dead.
You see what the DOT does on the side of 38, 34. They have to go out there with excavator and keep them ditches cleaned out, because it does start growing back through.
This is, so the responsibility.
The county does too.
Mhm.
Yeah, the responsibility the town has is just to maintain, to make sure the water is flowing, and if this is restricting the water, he's gotta open it up. So that's, but as of right now, all the way from here down, the water's flowing, and I think he even put a camera in the line to make sure there was no plugs or dips or anything like that. So I believe he did.
I think even so, one of our sewer cameras to check the storm sewer.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because it's a storm sewer pipe.
I think it's a good idea for Mr. Vitale to to make arrangements
No,
with Bob
I'd
to
be
just
glad
go out
to
and take a look at it. It's good to have, you know, two heads are better
I'll-
than one, get a,
I'll
two
call him
people
tonight.
talking
I'll
about it.
call him tonight.
Yeah, so, and just let me know and I'll communicate with you, so you don't have to deal with them.
Just those other, those dead trees on the side.
Yeah.
I'm just more, I don't care if they fall, but if they fall,
Yeah,
they hit my house, then
and we're liable.
Right.
Yeah, because you put us on notice. Yeah, so,
I just rather, if they're gonna, because a lot of the branches are breaking off now, and I'm like,
well, I don't know if you know, Mr.
Yeah,
Aikman.
where is this? Where are the dead trees?
Yeah.
These are our.
Yeah,
Right
it's a
there.
tree guy.
down the side of our property. It's on it's on the town side. Just a lot of the ones that are
Give them the
dead.
number of your house, I'm sorry.
22 Green Lakes turn.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's
I'll
on
look
that
at it
plan.
tomorrow.
Just take a look at the dead ones, because I'm afraid we get high winds, one of them's gonna come over.
They have them there.
Mhm.
Do you
All right.
work? Do you work?
I'll go tomorrow.
Are you home normally? Do you work?
I will be home tomorrow, maybe, but I actually have a holiday off because I work for the state.
Oh, you're staying.
But I am gonna be home sometime tomorrow, but I'm going to a college tour.
That's all right. Ed can
I'm going to one of
tell.
you are tomorrow, but cool.
We'll report back
You
that.
can go on there, anybody can go on there anytime. I don't
He
care.
doesn't have your money, so that's why he's going to a state school.
I went to high school.
But he
If
regrets.
I
it.
had my
mechanical
boots, I'd
round.
go tonight, but I don't have boots
That's
in the truck.
mechanic.
Just-
Okay.
Just took them out.
That's all I got.
Okay,
I sorry to vent like this, but I just think how long it's taken since February.
yep.
Yeah.
And I just kept getting snowed by Bob. I'm tired of being snowed.
Okay.
And if it comes down, you guys can't do anything, then you can't do anything. But it would have been nicer if I got an answer where I could have done something in my backyard this summer, which we were trying to do things, but I didn't want to do anything until this was resolved.
We'll get it figured out.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Good night.
It surprises me. You know?
Typical Bob.
22 Green Lakes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, Mr. Aikman.
Good evening, I'll be brief. Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts are doing their food drive this year. So they do have a Saturday morning free, and they're going to be joining the tree board to plant some trees here in the town. So we would do some bare root trees with the Scouts this Saturday morning. We'll have a good time.
How many you got? I read 7 or 5 or something like
We
that.
got 5 bare root trees, and then we bought about 7 B&B trees that we'll put in next week, once the UFPO is fully clear on those.
Okay.
So I just want to give you a very brief outline of the work I've done for you, looking at these large trees. I looked very closely at 179 trees. Almost all of those are very large trees. Trees that if you saw them, you would say, wow, that's a big tree. Not just any tree, they're very big trees. Of the 179, one of them was on Melrose Road and 36 were on Oak Ridge, which are, as you know, county rights of way. What I would recommend is that I will draft a letter, send it to Mr. Wagner, which will be the outline of the text he would use to advise the county highway department about the findings of the 11 trees I noticed on those county right of ways. There's one on Melrose Road. At least one of you is intimately familiar with that tree that has to go. I'm pretty sure it's in the county right of way. There's 5 on Oak Ridge that have to go. And there's 5 on Oak Ridge that probably should be removed. Even though that they're what we call a moderate risk tree, by the time you correct what's wrong with them, you're left with a tree that is alive and does provide you services, but it's going to look horrible. So, you got to think about that. But you want to spend $2,500 to take a limb out to be left with a tree that's going to fail or look really worse in 5 years. You know what I mean? Good money, bad, penny wise, pound foolish. You know what I mean? The general challenges that we have on the avenues is that we're dealing with large trees that are close to the road. That means a substantial part of these larger trees' root mass wants to be under the road, but won't grow under the road very well because there's not enough oxygen under pavement. Many of these are under power lines, and for years and years and years, they have been pruned according to utility specifications. All of that is legal, and is okay from an arboreal point of view, or arboreal cultural point of view, but you end up with a tree that doesn't really look that great. And many of these are very old, and they're mature for the kind of trees they are. And there's been a lot of, in addition to the utility line clearing, there are the type of mulching that people do. They build rock walls around the base of the tree and backfill them with soil and plant gardens. They pile rocks up against the trees because they think it looks good. There's car damage, snowplow damage, metal objects in trees, everything from signs to decorative smiley faces to security cameras and powered lights, okay? And then there's mowing that damages tree roots. So that's all very common in the urban environment. Basically what I did is I go out and identify the tree, locate them by address and GPS, measure their diameter and their height, examine closely the crown, the branches, the trunk, and the roots and root collars best I can. Key thing I'm looking for are defects. What's wrong with it? What's less than ideal? When you evaluate a defect, we're trying to determine what we would consider the likelihood of failure and what would happen if it did fail. We call this the consequences of failure, to derive what we call a risk rating of low to high. Keep in mind, there's no such thing as a risk-free tree. It's like when you have a child for the first time, you are going to go out and child-proof your home. And when you have a little boy or girl, they will conspire to figure out a way to bash their head into something. That's what kids do, okay? You and I walk out, go on a nature hike, and a little rotating helicopter seed from the maple tree, the Samara, swings down and it hits you in the eye. No big deal. Except that was the day you put on your contact lenses, and now you have a bad hour and a half, okay? It's a risk. Key factors, though, for us is considering trying to factor in the loading of the wind and the snow on these trees. So the nitty-gritty. Of the 179 trees I looked at, I got 62 that are what I consider high-risk tree. Now, when I say high risk, it don't keep me up at night. They are trees that when we can, we should get them removed. I have 13 that are high-risk trees that require pruning that will probably bring them into an acceptable low-risk category. We have 32 trees that I would rate as moderate. The problem with those moderately risked trees, 19 of them can be pruned and really reduce them to low risk. However, there are some trees that I had mentioned. I didn't wait, okay? I emailed the pertinent people, which include, the supervisor, the clerk, and Mr. Bruno. 2 ash trees on Melrose, 2 ash trees on Havens. They should have been cut down yesterday. Bob is now aware of them. We have a tree on First Ave that's a pole-sized ash. A couple of pole-sized trees that are ash that are dead down along Archie and First. Those should come down. We have a silver maple on Letchworth that should have been cut down yesterday. It's the kind of tree that does keep me up at night. I've emailed you photographs of those, and Bob has talked to Cranebrook about that. Wheels are turning. They're going to work on that. The black locust I mentioned earlier on Melrose, all of these 5 trees, 6 trees are of immediate concern. The tricky part is of the 26 trees we have that have a low to a moderate risk rating. And when we fix them, we're left with something that's really undesirable. So we'll have to really consider hard what funding is available to see whether we should put those on pause until the more important priority trees are dealt with. A good example is a tree that I was asked about that was out on O'Neill Road. Maybe it's a case of mistaken identity. I went out and I thought, well, if anybody's worried about tree, they'd be worried about these 2. And there was one very big maple. I looked at it. Yes, I wouldn't want to have it in my front yard. But I promise you, you have more important trees to worry about than that one. We should worry about it, but we have to prioritize our risk about what we think is appropriate and do the best we can to address those dangerous trees as we see them coming to us. And I'll leave it at that unless you have any specific questions.
What are these nut trees you're talking about? There was something in the paper the other day, they're gonna plant them around the lake. They grow about 100 feet.
I believe these are American chestnuts.
Yes.
That have been hybridized with genetic engineering to provide some resistance to the chestnut blight. American chestnut was once a very prominent tree in forests in the eastern United States. A fungus was accidentally brought over from overseas and wiped them out within a generation.
That's what you're saying.
And we can still find American chestnut in this landscape, but they're only as sprouts. Because as soon as they reach maturity, they become susceptible to the fungus and they die. So Chuck Maynard and a few other scientists at ESF have worked very hard to figure out the genetic vulnerabilities of the American chestnut and correct it so that it would be resistant to the blight.
Used to be a lot of hoops park when I was a kid.
So you're going to draft a document to send to Ed regarding kind of the prioritization of what you think is immediate need to, basically what you're just gonna send that, and then I'm sure he'll share with us.
Right, well, the letter would
Well,
be,
one's gonna be for Ed to send to the county.
To
All right.
try to get them to
Right.
act on
Yeah. With
the lack of tree management that they do.
yeah, the ones that can't wait, like that maple tree, two lots down from you on Oak.
Six, I can't wait.
Like we
The black
told Patrick
locust.
McQueenie, once you put somebody on notice, something happens, they're liable. So
As far as the trees that are our responsibility, with the budget that we're hopefully gonna be approving, there is an increase in funding for tree removal. Are you ready to act as soon as the new budget comes in? As far as, I know that usually removing the trees in the winter is cheaper.
Absolutely.
So, I would say, get a list of that category, anything that's in public danger needs to be addressed as soon as we can.
Right, right. Will do. And then if, for example, what I'm hoping, okay, because I keep hearing on the street that there's money that's going to be made available for grant funding for all municipalities, not just a few. Now, maybe that's tied to the bond act that was just passed on Tuesday. I don't know. But I hope we would be eligible for cost sharing on the management of these trees. That's what we're hoping for.
I'm even thinking one step further. We're in such a bad situation. I think maybe one of our next hires, once one of our guys retires, is that we hire somebody who can cut trees down and have a person and buy a bucket truck, and we could save.
Oh, I thought you meant a guy with a hatchet.
So the city does that. They manage their own trees with tree crew, correct?
Some of them they do.
Some of them.
Is that recommended, Walt? Is that not a good idea? What do you think?
I don't see how, I'm not sure you can afford it. And B, even if you could, I'm not sure you'd find the labor. Most of these crews are desperate for workers. They're desperate. And the best crews, they're not training people anymore, because if they train them, then they quickly quit and get more money. The city of Auburn's tree guy is a fantastic arborist, but he was injured, so he's out. And they've contracted some of their ash removals to Crane Brook and Company.
So they don't, all I'm getting at is more towards the shared services. There's a financial benefit for both sides to go into a shared service agreement. They have the new truck and trained crews. And we're not talking about, full-time job here, tree cutting in Owasco, so.
That'd be
I
full
thought
time.
that's what he meant.
No, I'm talking, we can hire an MEO. I
And
know,
dedicate them to trees.
well, no, it's just
An
it's a
additional
side
function that they could do.
function they can do is
Okay.
cut down some mid, not the really big ones, but a mid-range to
Something
smaller
they can
ones.
safely do.
I think they did
Yeah.
that just not too long ago.
We've
They
done a
cut-
bunch.
They've done a bunch, but they don't have the right equipment.
No,
They're
I
on
know
a
they
team
don't.
But we, if we
trying
don't,
to cut
if we have
the tree
somebody who
down.
knows what they're doing, it's it's not a liability if you got somebody who's been in the business or has a MEO license that can drive a.
Let me know when
CDL
you
that can
find,
plow
let me know when
snow
you
and-
find them.
Huh?
Let me know when you find them.
Exactly.
Huh?
That specialized guy.
He'll ask for the number and then he'll hire him.
Why not?
That's right.
They do it to me.
They're really
Well-
hard to find, these people, men and women with the training
Oh, yeah.
and the CDL. They're a really hot commodity right now.
Well, the other opportunity that we would have, and we, it's been done in in the law enforcement field for the last 10 or 15 years is if we hire somebody and we decide that we will train them for that, at the point in time that we hire them, they sign an agreement saying that they will, yeah,
I don't think that's legal.
it is legal.
They following probation, so.
they
have to
will-
meet the Training of their job.
We have
Job
contracts with,
category, though.
we have contracts with all of the deputy hires, the police officers that says, if you leave within 5 years, you pay us back for your training.
Maybe I need to add that in mind, because we just trained four people,
There you go.
and, you know, we hired a school teacher, got them credentials. Because you can't find them, you gotta make them.
Right. Well, and that's the benefit. I mean, granted, they can leave and it's a graduated scale. First year, you pay us back 100%. Second year, you pay us back 75, you know.
To hire, somebody get a CDL, you're talking about 8,000-9,000 right now, and we made our own, and we paid them while they're in training. That's what
Yeah.
it costs to get a CDL
So
through the state.
it's a thought, it's an
That's a good
opportunity
idea.
that we
It's a good
could, you know, because people want to get the training. So,
Yep.
you know,
They do
if we
that in
wanna-
healthcare.
yeah, we want to train them to
You gotta
cut
get
trees down.
you gotta get a farm boy. If you
Well,
if you can find them
actually,
anymore.
I know this one kid, he talked to me about cutting trees down for us. He's working for the state, making $22 an hour, driving,
Really?
working
That's
for the
all?
state throughways authority. He's got a CDL, plus he has a trees business on the side. We're paying $30 an hour. And if we get somebody who's been in the business, has his own bucket truck or whatever, we can buy a bucket truck. Yeah, that bucket truck will save us so much money, because how much are we paying for a tree for Cranbrook to come in?
About 5 grand.
5 to 8.
Yeah, doesn't take long to pay your
No.
salary. You know, but you got, but they got a big crew. You need more than one person to do
Sure.
it, you know, so.
And, you know, and I know you get this because you get the calls. There were some people I met who, when I explained to them, so for example, on Oak Ridge, I found a terrible sugar maple. I advised the man who came out, I said, don't park under this. I said, I wouldn't. I showed him the 2 fungi, which, you know, I had lab verified that are growing on this tree. It's don't touch this tree. Don't you dare come near this tree with a chainsaw. Meanwhile, there's a guy a few streets down from here who has a tree that I can't find anything wrong with it. And he is really annoyed because it has not been cut down. So another day in
Yeah,
paradise
okay.
for you.
All right, thank you, Walt.
Good night.
Thanks, Walt.
Care.
Anybody see Jeff come in yet?
Yeah, I heard somebody.
There he
There
is.
he is.
I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, no,
I heard somebody. Okay.
no, sorry, if I seen you out there, I would have pushed him along sooner.
No, I
Yeah,
understand.
okay, well, Jeff, the floor is yours. Well, the reason why I invited Jeff here is he and I have been having some conversation, and last month we talked about the process of getting a revale done and the complications that we're having, and I wanted you to hear it from the horse's mouth, or our assessor's mouth, I should say.
No
You
offense.
know,
And I just printed up some sheets. I know I'm killing the toner, the ink, and just to kind of stress the point a little bit.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll print five. I'll give you my next.
no, you can, I already seen it, so you can get there.
No, this right, you can have it if
So-
you want to use it.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Huh?
No, I don't
See,
need
you're
that.
outraged me.
But no, one thing I just wanted to stress or talk about that I found, you know, when I started here, Linda Coretti and I started going through the avenues, updating information and updating pictures, but we were finding things that was a lot to do with it. And one example is I circled a property. This is on Poplar Beach, and this is the kind of thing we run into. The second page is they got a permit back in 2011 to demo the house that was there, build a new one. Okay, so it was there. And then you can see the third page is I circled what house was actually built after the fact. And then on the fourth page, the assessment change for the property. You can see Kim raised the assessment,
Here's the house that's there
96,000.
now.
in 2012 when a new
Yeah.
house was constructed. But the fifth page is what we have down for inventory. The inventory never was updated, so we're still looking at the 19. What's that?
You're collecting taxes on the old house.
No,
No, the assessment got changed,
But the
but
inventory
the
did.
inventory of
What's
property.
listed there isn't correct.
So now I'm looking at it, we show up and we're like, well, this ain't
Looks
right.
different.
We're like, this is a new house. So to do a reassessment, I can't walk up to this new house and say, I think it's so many square feet, bedrooms, bathrooms, that kind of thing, and put an accurate value on it. So this is just one example. Linda and I have been going back, and you can see it's been 10 years on this one, but we've been going back because I've probably found, I don't know if I'm
This
up.
one, you probably just need to look at the certificate of the CO that Patrick issued, right?
No, we have to get the building plans.
If-
And we
Yeah.
did find the building plans on it, but it takes an hour.
Hmm.
So I've probably found a couple dozen houses like this. And that's just houses, like, there's one built on Brook Hollow, just, I think, back in 17. Mr. Vitale built that.
Why does everybody pick on me?
But no, that one's still listed as
Origins
the old house.
It's not taxed by the old house.
No, it's not taxed. It's taxed by the new house, which causes a little bit more problems for me because I get there and I'm looking at inventory that says built in 1970. And I'm like, this is built 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So Linda and I decided we need to stop going out, up and down the streets. We need to go back and look at the permits. So I ran a quick report to list all the permits that were put in the system. There were 0 permits in 2014 entered, 1 in 15, and I think 10 in 16. And I ran that report and I'm like, it went from 13. It's a big gap, and then they picked back up in 17.
we're averaging over 100 permits a year.
Yes. So
I thought we had a computer system we paid for years ago that linked the building permit to the assessor's office. We don't have
no,
that?
it doesn't link it, but I get a report from Pat now.
Oh, not automatically. He's got to physically give it to you.
He's got to physically give it
I
to
thought we
me.
bought something.
And then I have to grab the plans and draw it up and put the inventory that you see on ImageMate. I
Mhm.
entered it here and then send it to the county. So it shows up on ImageMate. As you can see, a lot of it wasn't done. Now, if whole houses weren't put in there, additions, we found a lot of additions,
Mhm.
pools,
Anything,
sheds,
everything.
decks.
Yeah, signs.
It's just, you might,
Signs.
Signs, yeah.
but you know, if someone builds a deck and it's 12 by 24 and I see $1,000 raised assessment, but I don't see anything built that year, you know, I gotta go back and try to find it and figure out exactly what the size is. So that it takes a
So
little bit
somebody
of
dropping the
time.
ball.
So what is the proper, so somebody gets a permit, does the work. How do we fix this from today forward?
Well, Pat's been real good since I've been here. He's been exceptional because I get that monthly report. I mean, he sits right next to me.
Which the
So-
previous people got the monthly reports as well, but they didn't
Yes.
do anything with it. That's the problem.
And you
Right.
can see back in 2011, this was entered
Mhm.
as a
Right.
permit. It just, nothing was done. So Linda and I have basically taken the boxes of permits from 14, 15, and 16. We're gonna have to go through each permit, put it down. And
That's just the people who actually
Got permit.
got a permit.
Yes, correct.
Some people put
So-
up signs without.
So you got your job cut out for you.
You only do it once.
You're
And
busy.
that's one thing I've talked, you know, I've shown a lot of these to Ed and we've discussed it and gone back and forth on it. I mean, I've done reassessments and the most important thing is if you don't have the inventory correct, I mean, people are gonna come in because you can't guarantee the assessment's correct. If the inventory you base the assessment on
Oh.
is incorrect.
Mhm.
So that's where we put us in a predicament.
So how do you remedy the people, like you said, you can't just be like, hey, I'm gonna wander through your house.
Yeah.
So you go to a house and there's obviously been an addition put on. You have to, now, there wasn't a permit. You have to estimate basically based on your best guess.
Yeah, so a lot of times what we'll do if there was no permit, I mean, it's a little more difficult, is I use the ImageMate or Google Maps or
We'll
pictometry,
try and
and I try to measure
calculate
the
the
best I
scale,
can.
square foot, yeah.
Yeah, we show up a lot of times and, go to the door. I
Mhm.
mean, Linda went and measured a few, knocked on a door, for me that we found. But it's just one of those things that I don't know what's out there.
Sure,
I do not
One of the
know.
things that we talked about was how can we do this most efficient and cheapest way possible? And one of the recommendations was to hire a couple of college kids to go out and
Yes, because
take pictures.
they can show up and we'd have to figure out if you want them knocking on a door so they can at least walk around and take pictures.
They should have credentials.
Yeah, we would.
Yes, print up like a tag. I've done it myself.
But we would send letters out ahead of time.
Yeah.
Before we
that's
did it. We did a shoot at a time and say, but on this couple of days, we're gonna be sending a crew out
That's
to
good.
take pictures.
Because that's what Linda and I were doing. We started on Havens, we did Melrose
Started
Parkway.
out Brocal, who you kidding?
right, started right there.
Right
yeah.
there, number one. You're
No,
number one
but,
in our heart.
You should get like safety vests and like.
We will. We will.
Last week.
Already talked about.
And
Already
that's,
talked about.
and that was one thing we discussed because there's different
Good
levels
minds
of
think
it.
the same.
I mean, I've been around long enough to know I was here when the last reassessment, I sat in this room and listened to the last reassessment when people are upset. So I've been around long enough to realize that it's not an easy thing and people aren't usually
Let's try
happy
to
to
apply
see.
it fairly then.
But it all
Let's
starts
do it.
Show up.
It all starts with Pat though, doesn't it? I mean, he gets the prints, he approved on a new home.
Yeah.
He approved the prints, he has all the measurements of the house,
Yep, so on those, yeah. If they were entered, so
right?
I've got to go right now, and the ones that don't get changed are the difficult ones, because I don't know it's a new house until I show up. If the permits, I mean, this was in 2011, so if nothing's been done since around that time, added to the roll,
Is
we
that
could
the
have 1,000
county,
permits.
is that the county that's updating the ImageMate stuff, or is that,
It comes from my office.
Comes from
They
us.
replicate out.
I replicate, send it electronically to the county,
Yeah.
they take it. I don't know how often they update ImageMate, but then they take my information and update it.
okay, so you're putting it in a,
Wow.
it's not like you're sending them a paper document
Oh,
saying,
no,
I
no,
need
it
it
it.
in a
ends
database.
up on the real property server and then they have a state resource that batch imports everything.
Got it.
So in my case, the assessor dropped the ball by not changing things around. Cause I know she was sneaking around up there.
Yeah, I got pictures.
Well, she drives right down the road, down the side, down there by the water. And she's looking around,
Yeah.
She wanted to marry
I
you.
mean, she should have, yeah.
And that's- Yeah, but yeah, there's a whole process to it because, yeah, you want to show up, but you want to get the building plans and sketch it out, measure it out,
In my case, it was right here.
bedrooms, bathrooms, all that. But then we're into the aspect of, I don't know it's a new house till I get there, or if they've done an addition without a permit, believe it or not, that does happen. And, so those are other factors. So Linda and I, like I said, we stopped going out on the street and started with the permits, trying to get those entered into the system, the information put out there, see if the assessment has changed, because we can go back 10 years every year to see if assessments have changed and see if the inventory's been added, because it'll say if the deck was built in 2013, it'll say, RP residential porch, 2013, 12 by 24. So there's checks and balances as long as it was put in there.
Rick, could we put in if we hired these kids to go out and do this for us and we send a letter out, could we proactively say in the letter, we'd like to have them come out and take pictures if you have an issue with them coming on the exterior property to take pictures, let us know in advance and then consider anybody who doesn't
As a consent.
is a tacit kind of consent.
Well, I've sent those out and I usually word it, and Rick would probably say, gee, what are you doing? But I don't want to say I give them the option of saying no, but I don't basically say, hey, if you don't want me there, just let me know. I kind of
Right.
say, hey, we're coming out,
Yeah, the less options, the better.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm in the process of doing one on Skinny Atlas Lake. There's a lot of people don't want me on the property. I did one in Aurelius a couple years ago. I'm doing Montezuma, so I've been doing it. And you just gotta word it
What
correctly.
town's your favorite client?
Believe it or not, it was Mets. The people there were the nicest people.
No,
and they're
really,
just
who's
like,
your favorite?
Owasco, of course.
Town immense.
We got more headaches for him than he can read them. It's-
I call it needy.
Yeah, needy,
Yes,
yeah.
it's needy.
yeah.
Just like a.
But,
Your neighbor can't, oh.
But anyway, it's just that, I wanted to let everybody know where we're at, because we've been sending out the letters that were coming, Linda and I, because we've been going out, and there were some people that, they don't want us on the property, but the avenues are pretty easy because you can stand,
Mhm.
look down the side, get to the other side, and that's what I try to do when I take pictures, is get two sides. At least you've seen three sides of the structure.
I'm screwed at my house.
Without going on the property.
You're on an island.
Yeah, and then you can kind of see from the back,
Yeah,
and then you
without
have
going on the
aerial, and
property.
you see if something has changed. Because on this image mate, like you most probably know, the first picture's from 2011, the second picture I gave was 2018, so you can see,
Mhm.
it goes back, I think 2003 is pretty much as far back as I can go with a decent aerial photo. So, the whole, I guess, process would be if we did have kids going out and they were able to take, depending on what the town board wanted, knock on the door, hey, we're here, we just want to take some pictures. Let them know, just taking pictures from the back, don't have to measure. Anything that we see and we have a discrepancy, then it would come back and Linda and I would be like, okay, we didn't have this, we gotta check to see, on the back of the house what this is.
And the reason why I even thought of this was because he told me what the recent price was to hire someone to go out.
Yeah,
So they're paying 25 to 30 bucks a parcel.
they pay, because I was working back in the spring in town of Onondaga. They got a grant for a reduced price because it was Geddes in the town of Onondaga, and the guy was gonna do 13,000 properties. So they got it down to $23 a parcel
And basically to do what.
to show up from the street,
Figure it out.
take pictures. If they notice something, then they go on the property. If they didn't notice anything, they would just take the pictures and move.
1,600.
Jeff, can you run a drone over our house?
1,600 parcels.
So I was just gonna,
A drone,
I
can you
would-
run a drone over the house?
No, people have gotten, and
You want a camera?
well,
Joe Bottle could probably tell you, if there's something going on in the back of the house and you're flying a drone over and some teenagers are back there doing something and you get, you don't
so,
want to do that.
so I was actually just gonna mention that because I'm working on getting my commercial drone operator's license for just that. As long as you're 150 feet above, you do not own the air above your house. As long as you're 150 feet above the property, that's the standard. You're not trespassing, you're not.
But, I mean, when I worked for the state, I was up near Messina and I was doing some of the lakes up there in the Adirondacks, and I came walking around the back of a house and there's these teenage girls in bikinis sitting out in the sun, and I was like, oh boy. And of course, town.
You didn't have your
clerk called. Well, I had the camera, that's the problem.
Oh.
Walking around taking pictures and stuff, and you walk into things that it's best not to do. Even with a drone, so.
All right, so the question, I'm trying to find the most efficient way I would like to put it on civil service, try to see what we can get a seasonal part-time employee try to start right now, while we can get some inventory done now, and then next spring, try to hire a couple more.
Do we
college.
we don't have any current seasonal laborers, do we?
No, it'd be a date no, we don't, but in our civil service thing, we have a data collector, and this would be a data collector.
Data
position.
collection, yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm saying though is if we already we don't have a current seasonal laborer, we can just hire the person as seasonal laborer and set the rate. You don't have to.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, we already have a
Civil-
title, we could just hire.
Yeah, we can just,
Yeah.
but we gotta post it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is. we
But
don't
I would
create
like
a
to
special
post
job
it,
title for
have
it.
Jeff do the interviews and let him hire.
And that would be the one thing is, like I said, ideally, it's okay to just knock on the door. If you get someone that can just knock on the door and say, we're just here, just want to update the inventory and the pictures of the property.
Mhm.
and try to keep it simple. No, never go inside. I always put in the letter that we send out that that person does never enters your house. So I make sure that's on it. If someone wants someone, a person to come into the house, they would call me and I would take Linda with me and we would go into the house.
All 5 of them came through my house when I grew mine.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
a myth.
The whole board.
That's
So-
not true.
well,
Through my
any
house.
any questions, any more
I know, I
questions for
didn't know
Jeff?
at the time. I didn't work here
Yeah.
then.
No.
Looking more like your dad all the time.
Ah, Yeah, thanks.
Great man.
One of my best buddies.
Yeah, I was racquetball partner, wasn't he?
Yeah,
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 back in the day.
I got pictures to prove it.
all right.
But
Those ones where the flash kind of goes,
It's got phase, the two side by side.
1974.
Fred, downtown, I own the air above one of the buildings.
yeah?
George Aglano made sure I had that when I bought the building.
Nice.
I own the air.
only-
I had air rights.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
All
right.
I don't know why I needed it, but
Let's do that in cities.
Jeff, thank you
Great
for all you're
number.
doing.
Take care.
You're doing a great job. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Great job.
And I can tell you from the people that come in here and deal with him, it's like a godsend from him.
Different world.
Oh
Yeah,
my
he's
God.
great. He's been great. He has. It's been nice.
we'll see.
We like him.
Yeah. He's
But I-
after you, boy.
What's that inventory?
He's
for
after you, boy.
But
many cars
until it
are
changes the assessment, I have to correct inventory.
They've got the
But
wrong
we'll
house.
take care
that was the
about
only reason I was up at the
all
county.
these ducks and geese and the trees coming in.
Oh, yeah. Was,
I don't know. I wish I knew what I know now.
yeah,
But no, I did speak to the county and they were like, yeah, how's it there? Because I think that was one of the reasons they had, because they went through and they could see this.
Too much work.
Mhm.
It was a lot to it. Because this is one of the bigger
Oh,
municipalities.
that's why
in the
they
county.
walked away from it, huh?
One of the reasons, because once, once Tammy left. It's
If you're gonna,
they're
you're
pretty
gonna
good.
do it right, you gotta.
Well,
it's
it
gonna
seems
be
like you
sworn.
know what you're doing, so you.
so what basically it pushes back the rollout for assessment. You think Rick's doing a genuflect right now because he's got so many properties in the town here.
And Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't think Jane said that, by the way.
oh, she did.
I know. You called me right afterwards. I know you got a kick out of it.
I
You
called,
called, you texted, you emailed.
I see her, I'm gonna ask her.
that's a true story.
Well, he should pay his fair
We're so
share.
excited.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask her.
Jesus.
I said, I don't blame you.
But no, and I also want to say, anytime someone wants to come in with questions, it's always, I hate to do it at board meetings, because in my experience, most town boards don't want to see the assessor at the town board meetings. Ed's been telling me, don't show up, don't show up. But if you ever want to just come in with questions, just to look at things, always come in. It's better to have, your questions answered than not.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm always more than willing to talk to anybody when they come in.
When are you here?
I'm here on Wednesdays and Fridays, but believe it or not, I go in Saturdays and Fridays
Mhm.
anywhere, so I'm always on a run.
All right,
All right,
thank you very
Take
much.
care.
thank you. Good to talk to everyone again.
Yeah.
All with any
See you
questions?
later, Jeff.
Thank you.
You'll come to my house.
I got so much valuable property.
He's applying now.
Hey,
I mean,
hey, Jeff, did you get his double lock there, just to make sure his inventory's correct?
I was just up at the county to try and figure out my
You
taxes.
gotta merge it.
I did,
Okay, good.
but it doesn't take effect until
Till
like
next
the
year.
following.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still owe that water bill.
Yeah, fire district, water
Yeah,
bill,
water
sewer
and
bill,
fire.
sewer, library, everything. They nickel and dime you.
Yeah,
They got the picture of the wrong house for me. It's not even my house, but I figured it looks.
my last
cheaper.
house that I had a finished
It's a
basement.
smaller
That
house,
was
we'll leave
not
it.
a finished basement.
All right, so
Right.
next thing on the new business was remember we talked about solar moratorium. I didn't want to bring them to this meeting. It's and have another half hour discussion, 45 minutes. So I would like to schedule a workshop for the solar moratorium. What I would like to do is have the special counsel and Barton and Judas through Zoom, so we're not paying for the travel time. well, there won't be travel time for Tom Blair because he's right next door. So, but they would come in on a workshop. He said about 45 minutes to an hour at the most, but they redlined a bunch of things together, put together a recommendation. They want to explain it to everybody, tell you the rationale behind certain things. Rick, you're welcome to sit in on it. And go over the local law and get your permission. How strict do you want to be? We got Lake Shore District, we got residential, get agricultural, everybody's got to be treated differently. So do you want to, that's what they want to explain to you. You guys have to make the final decision. So there's more to it than just that. We have to February to do it, but he says he's available next Wednesday or the following week, which is Thanksgiving, or we can put it off until December. So you tell me what your
Sorry, rush on this, anything?
we got to have it by December. We got to,
Okay.
so I mean, by end of December, we got to have it. We can actually extend it even longer in January if we're not ready.
Mhm.
So if you want to put it off longer, we can do that. Or I don't want to rush you guys, but I want you to get some kind of thing to look at and understand.
Okay.
Well, if we
I'm
did,
available
if
except one
if we
day.
did it in
What
the
day you talking?
Wednesday.
first week of
Coming
December, we
Wednesday?
wouldn't have the information we need to vote on anything in December.
Should not have it on colonoscopy.
Whatever works for you guys. I know my
16,
schedule's a little
next
strict,
Wednesday,
so-
okay with me.
What's that?
Next Wednesday.
Get it over with if you want, get it done.
Are you okay next Wednesday, 4:00?
Sure. yeah.
Next Wednesday, 4:00. So we'll have a special.
What date is that?
It's a Wednesday, the
Yeah, no
16th.
date.
16.
I will confirm again tomorrow with Tom Blair and Barton with Judas to make sure that they're available, but 4:00 on Wednesday the 16th. Okay, okay. Next thing, no communications that I can think of. And I do apologize. I meant to send out the McQueenie letter that was sent to him, the pictures. I just didn't do it. That was my fault, error on my part. I didn't realize you'd be here to blindside us, but that was my fault. We took care of that like a week and a half ago, and I said to myself, what am I missing? I was supposed to send something out. I can't remember what it was, and that's what it was.
It's just the beginning, Eddie. It's
Yeah.
just the beginning.
It's been a crazy week this week. Let's open the public resolution 130, open a public hearing for the preliminary budget. I have a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Okay. So we're starting at
508.
5:08. Yeah, that's not 6:00.
I noticed that, and
Maybe they
I
change
got a lot of heat
I
over
can't
my
reach
fire
it.
whistle
I
being
can't
off an
reach it.
hour.
I'm looking at
And
that.
that is not
Where
right
the
here.
time
We've
goes
been eating our
tonight.
lunch at 11. I can't reach it.
Okay,
I
anyway,
specifically didn't text you because I knew you probably heard from a bunch of people.
Oh, she's the first to tell me. It's all
all
right.
those in favor of the open a public hearing?
Aye.
Okay, the next one is to open a public hearing for the tax override. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so both those things are open. Okay, now, this is the authorization. Probably didn't know what the hell why I put this on here, but now you understand why I put this on here through my conversation. This is to authorize the assessor to hire a part-time seasonal employee to do data collecting at a rate of $20 an hour for approximately 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the weather, but no
Mhm.
more than 10 to 15 hours per week. And this would not be after school, weekends, whatever, we can do it, but it would be, letters would go out first to let people know, then
Mhm.
that person would, and then Jeff was actually gonna take the person, whoever he hires, train that person, and
This is what I want you to
this is
do.
what I want you to do. And so,
I think I'll do a good job doing that too.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's that. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next one is to authorize me to pay the New York State teachers, New York State local retirement system in the amount of $69,000. Tammy, did we, so this is, what happened is, we just got the bill at 4:00 yesterday.
Yeah.
Our books were kind of closed, and so in order to pay something early, I have to have board authorization. So can I get a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, introduce local law number 4, I'm sorry, for administration and enforcement of uniform fire protection building codes law. I'll get a motion for discussion. I'll explain what it is.
Move.
Second.
This is basically a paper, required by the state retirement. They changed the laws. Every town has to do this. It's just bringing us up. It says it's paperwork, brings us up, telling that we follow this code. There's nothing in our books that's going to change right now. I talked to Patrick this in depth about this yesterday morning. And basically, it's just a administrative procedural type thing that we have to do.
We're just adopting the latest code version.
Yes, yeah. And
I'm redlining it in the form and then I'm gonna send it to everybody. Once Patrick signs off, I'm gonna send it to everybody.
Yep.
A red line and a clean version.
And then what happens is they're at the Association of Supervisors, which they have a meeting once a month. They're gonna have a code person come and explain to supervisors, but we're already gonna be ahead of them. So you'll have it before they
Because
do.
Patrick, as our local code enforcement officer, he is authorized to enforce.
Yeah,
New
whatever
York State.
version we adopt.
as
Yeah,
amended.
yeah.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Rick, just to let you go back to what you were talking to Jeff about that program. That program was bought by in 2002 when Mr. Bavone was our. code
That's what I
enforcement
thought,
officer.
but it's not
And-
working. Or
Well, it works, but it doesn't automatically, there's no system on the assessor's start to accept it, so he has to get this made me think of it, he has to get a hard copy, and then from there.
Okay, but at least he's getting some notice that,
Is that
hey,
Walsh
so-and-so
building?
built a building
Yeah,
permit. for it.
the issue before was never,
He's
ever
the
since
middle one.
Mr.
three.
Vavone put that in place. The issue wasn't, we all get monthly reports. If you check your mailboxes, you get the monthly report from the, and all the permits that were issued. We all have gotten that since I've been here for 14 years. Every month we've gotten it. The problem is who we had in the assessor's chair. And once you appoint an assessor for 6 years, they get appointed for 6 years. You know, and the only way to get rid of them is you've got to prove negligence, and that's very
Yeah,
hard to
you're
do.
stuck with them.
You know, and I think the years that he was mentioning that that was the year that Kim was very sick and was on her deathbed. So that, to her defense, but it's no excuse, we had a system to be able to do it as well. So, okay, moving on. Let's go to number 134, local law number 4. We just did that one. Okay, number 35. This is to this is to approve and accept the audit. One of the things that we can I get a motion for discussion.
Move.
Second.
One of the things we didn't do, we had the auditors come in, give us the thing, but it was only a draft. It wasn't a finalized thing. So we sent out the finalized, we sent out the internal one that was just for our view, and then we sent out the one that was for the public view. And so you have both of those. And so this is just to approve what the auditor said. So all those in
This
favor?
is from 2021.
Yes.
Yes.
The one that came in and whenever it was, they came in
Yeah,
and
in the
spoke,
beginning of the year.
beginning of the year.
April.
Yep. Okay, so all those in favor, we did. Good.
Aye.
Okay. Audit and payment of claims. Could I get a motion for discussion?
So moved.
Anybody
Second.
have any questions on audit and payment of claims?
Anything of note, I didn't see them, so it's just
Not that-
anything.
Everything that nothing.
Nothing jumped out at you?
Nothing
All right.
jumped out at me. All those in favor?
Aye.
So. Then the next one is to close the public hearing for the.
Anyone want to say anything? Anybody?
Nobody online.
All right, okay.
No public participation.
So let it be known that we checked the computer, no one's online, and nobody here in the public for general comment, so we're going to close it at 5:15. So motion to close,
Aye.
okay, all those in
I'll
favor?
second.
Aye.
No.
Okay, this is a motion to approve the final budget for the fiscal year, January 1st, 2023 for all the funds. Motion to discuss,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor, want to do a roll call on this one?
Okay, Councilman Cornelius,
Yes.
Councilman Gachardi,
Yes.
Councilman Vavone.
Yes.
Councilman Vitale.
Yes.
Supervisor Wagner.
Yes.
Yes, I just didn't get who had those motions.
Tony and Mike. Okay, next is to close the public hearing for the tax override. Is there a motion?
Move.
Second.
22nd. Repeat your mic.
Yep.
Okay, any discussion?
Councilman Cornelius,
Yes.
Councilman Guchardi.
Yeah.
Councilman Vitale.
Yes.
Councilman Vivone.
Yes.
Supervisor Wagner.
Yes. Now we have to approve the seeker review, which is the environmental impact for the local law, which is the budget. So,
I can't make it up.
no, all those, motion to discuss,
Move.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution, the board to enact local law number 3, tax levy establishing the, blah, blah, blah. Motion to discuss,
So moved.
Second.
Jeremy, Mike, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this was a late one that came out. This is we found out that this person, Kate Coretti, is she filled a vacant spot on the Board of Assessment Review. And the term has expired and we need to reappoint. So it's a 5-year appointment, since she's already on there and there's, and when there was an opening, we did a search and she was probably one of only a couple people that did it. So this is a motion to reappoint.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And they do have to take yearly training on
Yeah.
the Board of Assessment Review, and the county puts them out, and that's how the county tells us when the appointments are up and who needs the training and da. Okay, we need to adjourn to executive session for personnel.
Can we, before we do
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
last meeting, I believe we talked about getting a report back from codes and planning about the update for our Owasco code. You were gonna send something to them and ask for
I
a,
forgot.
okay,
I did not do that. To be honest, I did not do it. I just,
All right.
I will do it right now and codes review.
Yeah.
Planning and zoning.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we
I
do.
don't either.
I do. I do.
because they
We're
were, before COVID, they
I don't remember.
started a review of the Owasco code, which has been since '84, so,
The town code.
or the town
Oh,
code, yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, not
and
building code.
Yeah,
they
the
met
top.
in this room. They had both the chairs, both,
So-
they had Andy Leo was here at the time. They had Patrick and I forgot who else was here.
Both the chairmen.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure it just stalled because 2 years of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, so they did do a bunch of recommendations and they had I've seen recommendations, but they didn't finalize it all. And I did talk to Patrick and I just forgot about
Yeah.
the town now. And I will actually send him an email when I get out of here because they're not working tomorrow because of the Holiday Veterans Day. So we're closed tomorrow. I came to work on Tuesday and forgot we closed on
Election day.
election day because they used to have the polling here and they used to close it because of polling was here and we couldn't have public office open when they were doing polling. So, and it was in the contracts and so never got out of the contract.
All right.
So,
Andy's not around anymore. You
Huh?
know that Andy's
I
not
know,
around.
oh yeah, I know. That's why we got Blair. Yeah. It's his, did he do anything with his, is it Kubis's? Is it
No,
Oh.
Skibo.
Skibo?
No, he still comes around.
Yeah,
He's there from time to time.
yeah. So we're all
Kind of missed
set.
the guy.
So Tammy, I think, when anybody want Tammy to be here, or did she wanted to book out on this?
Well, I do have something.
Oh, yes, that's right, she does, she's, we'll go,
Here it
we'll
comes.
address her.
Okay.
So we got to turn off the microphone for
Are
executive.
there
session.
gonna be any,
Any?
any action after?
There may
Possibly,
be,
yeah, possibly.
there may be a determination from the board, yes,
So we can just
Did you
mute
bring
this
that
and
one?
yes.
I would mute that and then
We came out of executive session. We have some items that we're going to vote on. The first resolution is to Rick.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, the board, if I could have a motion to schedule a public hearing for proposed local law number 5 of 2022 to amend section 11-14 of the ethics code of the town of Owasco.
I will make that motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next,
We're just scheduling a public hearing. I'm gonna work with Fred on tweaking the language.
Wording.
we'll take both of them separately.
Yep.
So the next resolution is to approve the recommendations. Jeremy, you wanna explain it? Sure.
Approve the advisory opinion from the ethics board that they felt that there was no ethical violation from the complaint from the beginning of the year.
And then, and with the recommendation, you
With
want,
the recommendation that was presented by the ethics board in creation of policies and organizational structure for people to report back to when they find issues.
okay. And then we will establish a committee to come up with policies and procedures. And
For the vehicle use policy, I'll dig up something and send over.
Okay.
As far as the organizational structures, who directors report to.
that's a separate, we're doing the first one first.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one, the first one was what was the first? The first.
Well,
one
the
was
first one was the reporting back
Yes,
to somebody. I would make a motion that in the spirit and intent of the recommendation of the ethics board, that whatever the language was, and when you find if an employee of any department in the town is working privately and finds an issue that is town related, that they immediately report that issue to the supervisor or the deputy supervisor of the board.
It goes back to paperwork. If he filled out a report and handed it in the next morning, say it's midnight or something, he fills out a report, hands it in to the supervisor, and everything would be okay. It goes back to paperwork.
Maybe we should make him a nice form.
No, I don't
That's good
think
if he has a
we know he's
form.
gonna fill that out.
So-
You know, here's a
So
form.
Right.
that's the
Just
motion.
easy.
We got the resolution of who wants to make the motion to discuss.
I
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion on that resolution? And Tammy will clean it up and we'll send it out
Yeah.
for just
I know,
to
I got
make
a
it.
mess here.
And Rick will help her tomorrow with that.
Go over.
Over the weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
over the
So
weekend.
here we
Yeah,
go.
that we're not open tomorrow or the weekend. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the second one is,
Chuck.
the second one is
Personal
that
use.
we will, that I make a motion that we establish a committee
we
to,
accept them, we accept the
we
motion
accept the recommendation of the ethics board and
to
will establish a vehicle use policy.
Okay. So
Second.
Okay.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other things for the board?
Well, where's the one for mine? Is that the local law number 5?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
You
okay.
gotta have a local law.
All right.
That's a
Yeah, they're
law.
gonna
I
clean it.
didn't saw local law
They're
number
gonna
5,
clean
but I didn't know what, when you said.
Motion to
ethics, I
adjourn.
We're
got
we're
confused.
calling it the
Second.
clarity exception.
Okay, motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good, we're done.